Well, hello my baby gorillas, and I thought I would actually come down and speak to you very briefly with regards to some unbelievable news. What is the unbelievable news? The unbelievable news is that there has been a poll out saying that the Reform UK party is now fourth. That's a poll that has been confirmed, and it's now sitting fourth in the overall spectrum of panoply of political parties, behind the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats. But the word that I've heard is that the Reform UK, or the Reform Party, we'll just call it from now on, the Reform Party has now gone from fourth to third place. It's overtaken. There's a new poll coming out in the next few weeks, and they haven't even finally registered their name, and they haven't finally got the party up and running. But it's now sitting at third in the polls. It's overtaken the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats to become the fourth largest party, or the third largest party in the UK already. I've also heard through the grapevine that it's now the Reform Party is now sitting at 15% in Scotland for the second vote, which means that we get probably about 5 MSPs in the Scottish Parliament, between 5 and 10 for the second vote. It's unlikely that very few MPs will be elected out with the SNP if the current polling is correct for the SNP, if Nicola Sturgeon hasn't resigned and done the horrible thing yet. But Nigel, it looks like he could get between 5 and 10 second vote list MPs, it's called up here, not the first past the post, which is a combination. The Scottish Parliament is made up of a combination of first past the post and list because it's proportional representation. And he is now sitting at 15% for the second vote, which means that they will get MSPs in Scotland. So it's very important for Nigel to actually get the best people in on the list who are going to be heavy political hitters. I know that the Brexit Party, or now the Reform UK to be the Reform UK Party, is now recruiting both for the Scottish elections, the Welsh elections. I'll come to Wales in a minute. And the councils all over London. I think it's info@thebrexitparty.org if you're interested in standing or if you want to get involved. Obviously they'll need people who can deliver letters. You need 10 signatures for each MSP candidate. That's got to be signed off. They need people for that in each constituency. They need people to donate money. They need people to come canvassing. They need people to do lots of things, infrastructure, tech, local accountability, local speaking to people just generally. People are good with internet or internet savvy as well. All of these things have to be done in the next 4 or 5 months. So that's pretty impressive. So Nigel is now sitting at 15%, which is similar to what was actually done with the Brexit Party for the European elections in Scotland. So they're now the third largest party in Scotland as well. So the third largest party in the UK, behind obviously the Labour Party now first, Conservatives, and then the Brexit Party are third. And then the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats. So they're now going up for the Westminster voting intentions for the next general election. And they're now sitting at 15% in Scotland for both the first and second past the post. It's more important for the second vote. The list vote is more important because it's unlikely that there will be very few politicians that will actually beat the SNP on the current polling evidence. It could go 100% for the SNP at the current levels. There may be one or two. I would suspect that there'll be a few from other parties that will get a first past the post, but it'll be few and far between, and it means that they'll get less on the list. So the list will be very important for smaller parties. So Nigel could actually make a breakthrough in Scotland, but the big thing is that they look like they're sitting at 30% in Wales. the Reform Party could become the largest or second largest party in Wales at the Welsh elections, and it could, because of the increase in the vote, it could pick up hundreds of seats in the local elections down in England, across England. So these are all massive, massive things. Nigel really has to get the best people in the list, in the first and second places in the various list areas. That's the most important, because they're the ones that are going to be the new front face of the Reform Party, and these have got to be political heavy hitters. When I was with the guys in the Brexit Party didn't stand in every seat. It was rushed because of the time, and but there were some excellent candidates there for the Brexit Party who stood who could stand again. I don't see why they couldn't stand again, and they're likely to get much bigger results, because if Nigel stands them in all of the first past the post situations throughout Scotland, then it will be absolutely massive. These people will be the bulwark for the underlying list MPs. So you can spend up to £12,000 per candidate, and which is quite a lot of money if you think about how many first past the post constituencies there'll be. But that money will then be used to build up the support, and obviously the underlying list MPs will benefit from the first past the post candidates who will probably not win, but some of them, obviously first past the post, will be on the candidates list, I would suspect, as well, or the secondary list. So 12 grand, I think it's 12 to 13,000 each can be spent in a constituency. So you're better throwing as much of that at it as possible to actually try and break into the Parliament. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely huge. So the candidates would be better pooling resources and getting ads in the local papers as well. Do that as soon as you can. It was left a bit late, and I think wasn't Reach, I think it was the Scotsman group, whatever they're with, didn't put out all 4 adverts. So it's important that they're held to account as well. The media are actually putting out the adverts that they say they're going to put out. So I would put out media releases with the various, what's the policies are, over a quicker period of time. As soon as the candidates are announced, then start putting out the advertisements through the papers. So that's huge as well. Use as much a variety, a plethora. We'll interview candidates as well, but just use a plethora of different ways of actually getting the message out there for the actual underlying candidates. So I think that's absolutely huge. That's a massive, massive thing for Nigel, that he's now in third place for UK voting intentions. Third in Scotland behind the SNP and the Conservatives. He's now beaten Labour and the Illiberal, Liberal, Undemocratic Democrats into 4th and 5th place. I mean, I can't even remember the gentleman's name that's standing at the head of Labour now. I think their support's fallen to bits. And they're now sitting at 30% in Wales. They could be the biggest or the second biggest party, the Reform Party in Wales, which would be absolutely huge for Nigel. Absolutely massive news. 30%, which is also similar to what was in the European elections for the Brexit Party, and it could transform Welsh politics. Same with Scotland. If they get the 5 to 10 list MSPs in the Scottish Assembly, that will be a massive transformation in Scottish politics, and it'll make things a lot more interesting. Oh, huge news, and it looks like they could win hundreds of seats in all over England for the Brexit Party. I think it was expressed on the Mail, was saying that Boris is very nervous, obviously with the disaster of the lockdown and destroying people's businesses, and it's going to be a huge blow for the British economy, and now that's not going to be good timing for him. the transferring of power. And I don't think people are going to vote for Keir Starmer because he's just another globalist as well. So it's likely that the Labour and the Conservatives are going to go to this new Reform Party. And believe me, I think Nigel has got thousands of people that are actually going to stand all over England. He's going to try and cover every constituency in England, every seat at a local level, as well as all the seats in Scotland and Wales. And I think there's thousands of people now joining up. There's people giving money, which is very important in the lead up, but a lot of people are going to info@thebrexitparty.org, getting on the mailing list and donating money and their time and signing up candidates. And it's absolutely huge. Huge news for Nigel. Third biggest in Britain, third biggest in Scotland, and second or first in Wales for these new polls that are due out. Woof! Love you, my baby gorillas.